Podcasters Roundtable, round 82, new thanks from 2016. I think that's what Daniel, that's the name he gave us. We can decide at the end if there's a better name. That's for the chat room that's not really here. There's a couple. I think John and Nick are both in the chat. Awesome. You can decide what we should call this. We've done this before. This is sort of a Thanksgiving holiday season episode, but it's just a good time of year to remind us to say, hey, what are we thankful for? And in this case, Daniel wants us to talk only about those things that are obviously related to podcasting, but specifically in 2016. So that's a little bit of a challenge, but let's meet the current lineup. I think we're going to have a couple people join us. Right now, it's just hosts. Daniel J. Lewis, welcome back.
Thank you very much. I am thankful to be here. I'm thankful for Ray and Dave, and I'm thankful for the audience, and I'm thankful for this podcasting industry. And I'm just full of thanks.
Full of something over there on that side. Yeah. He got to steal all of them. He's thankful for us. Now we just look bad, Dave. Welcome, Dave. What's up?
Well, I'm thankful to be back after missing the last episode. And yeah, this should be an interesting episode. The tough part was thinking of just 2016. But I got a couple things, so I think we'll be okay.
I'm very thankful to even be here on this round. Exactly. I think Dave's happy to be back. I'm happy to also be back. Bout of food poisoning this week just about canceled this roundtable, but it's probably explains one of the reasons we're a little thin on new roundtablers today. But I think we're going to have a couple, at least one, I hope. But we'll dive into it because, we're full of things to say, not excluding 2016. We can say things about any year, but this time it's only about 2016. And I mean, is it that obvious? Are we just thankful for things? What are we thinking of, Daniel? When you want to be specific about 2016, we want to give thanks. What are we thinking here?
Well, it's easy for us as podcasters to say, well, I'm thankful for my audience. I'm thankful for my media host. I'm thankful for WordPress. I'm thankful for my microphone, that kind of stuff. And I think we all are thankful for those things, but I wanted to kind of challenge it to think outside of the thanks box and instead think of what things are we thankful for. This is totally
there's a lot of THs in there. Oh,
but think outside of that and consider what things in podcasting specifically from this year are we most thankful for? That maybe it's something new in the whole industry. Maybe it's something significantly new to us. I know I have some things that are very new to my workflow or ways I'm doing things a little bit differently in podcasting. And I'm very thankful for the results I'm getting. And so I'm thankful for those things that enable those results. Some of them simple and cheap, some of them more expensive, some of them horrendously time consuming, but it's that new stuff, the stuff that isn't on the top of everyone's thanks podcasting list.
And John Moore in the chat, just to start it right off, he says he started podcasting in 2016. He said he started 2 this year, so apparently he's been listening to old episodes of the Podcaster Studio. Sorry, John, if you're now drowning in work, but congrats, man. Congrats on starting a podcast. That is definitely thankful. And we'll look forward to thanking you in 2017 when you're still here, because that is the true challenge, right? I mean, getting started is hard enough, but staying with it, the super big challenge when it comes to podcasting. So, Dave, did you come up with a 2016 specific?
I did, and it dawned on me because it was a while ago to where it seems like it was last year, but it was this year. And that is February of 2016 was my first time going to PodFest, which at the time was in Tampa, I believe. Or no, it was in Orlando. No, it was in Tampa last year. It's going to be in Orlando this year. And that led to a whole bunch of stuff. I got to hang out with Jared Easley and Dan Franks a little more and Glenn the Geek. But I also got to know Katie and Chris Kermitsos, who then later got me involved with a whole Messengers documentary, which then had them in this very room filming me and Daniel for the movie, which was very cool. So that was something that I was like, wow, that it seems like I've known these people for a long time, but I've really only known, I've known Glenn for a couple years, but to actually be able to see them and get to know them a little better, that all happened in 2016.
Awesome. I'm thankful for new roundtablers, like the one that just jumped in right now.
There you go.
Mr. Tyler Stallman, welcome to the round. This is your first roundtable, right, Tyler?
It is my first. Yeah. Thanks so much for having me, guys. Sorry, I'm like showing it at the very last second.
I invited at the very last second, pretty much in typical
glad to see it.
Ray fashion. No, it's so cool. You're someone I've been looking forward to having you on. I'm not sure where we originally connected, but Tyler's a camera geek like myself. Why don't you explain to the roundtablers, if I can spit that out. It's a combination of roundtablers and anyone watching. That's everyone. You're all roundtablers. What's your show, Tyler, and what do you do for a living?
My podcast is Cameras or Whatever, and it's basically the worst name for a show that I think is better than its name.
Dave loves it. Dave loves it.
My background is both as a photographer myself and also working in the photo industry at websites. So I worked as a designer at iStock Photo at the very beginning, and then we got bought by Getty, so I worked at Getty Images, and then I worked at Life.com, which is a relaunch of the magazine. And in that whole time, I've just liked to be part of the conversation in photography, and my favorite format of entertainment is podcasts. I spent a long time listening to them, and I felt like that's the appropriate place to get my thoughts out about it. So Cameras or Whatever is the place that me and a fellow photo editor at the current site I work at, Stocksy.com, we just talk about gear and technique and everything that comes to mind about taking photos.
Dave, do you hear an accent?
Is my Canadian accent?
We're from Canadian, so where are you at? Where are you coming to us from?
I'm in Calgary, Alberta.
All right, sounds beautiful. I haven't been.
It's actually, not many people know this, but it is the ground zero for stock photography. All the biggest things that have happened in stock photography came out of Calgary,
that is a very interesting tidbit.
Yeah. I stock photo in Veer, and before that, the name's slipping my mind, that was the origin of both of them. And now there's two recent ones that have come out, Dissolve and Stocksy. So
my next 80s party where we pull out Trivial Pursuit, I'm gonna destroy with that one.
I really hope that winds up in there. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt whatever was happening before I arrived. I'm just trying to set everything up.
No, you're good. Audio sounds good. We can see Tyler's coming in. He's got a PR40 with the boom arm and the shock mount and maybe not. I don't know if there's a shock mount, but I see a beautiful A7S or maybe it's A.
Yeah, I was set up to do a YouTube video last night in this exact configuration. I just swapped out a good camera for my webcam, and then I was ready to go. So
nice. All right. So Dave, you are thankful for attending. Was it Podfest? Seems like a pretty growing festival there. The East Coast. If you're on the Eastern Seaboard, you should probably check out.
Yeah, podfest.us.
Cool. And one of those things. I mean, every year, and it counts as 2016, I think, that I still have a job in podcasting, quite honestly. It's like going on 9th year, and, my job is different than other jobs in podcasting. Like Daniel works in podcasting, Dave does too. Dave and I are both currently employed by someone else to help with their podcasting efforts. And, it's a fickle world out there. You can lose your job anytime. And I've been doing this for 9 years. And so you never know what next year's is going to hold. And so I am just so thankful for living the dream job, for me at least. But it makes me think, specifically for myself or Dave, we are podcasters who then got a job in podcasting. And could you ever imagine going back? In 2017, you lost your podcasting job. What would you do? Would you just go back to what you were doing, or can you go back? I don't think I could go back. It doesn't mean I know what I would do.
Yeah, it'd be tough. That was actually my number 2. I February 29th was I got hired at Vincent.
It is a bit of a poo-poo, Dave.
Yeah. And it'd be weird to go back to corporate. And the thing I really don't miss is I'll wake up, I'm eating my breakfast, and I see that, 480 is backed up, 77 is blah, blah, blah. And I look at all the traffic, and I just grab my breakfast and walk upstairs, and I'm at work. And I go, yeah, it's a good gig.
Yeah, I tease all the time. My commute's like 20 seconds unless I stop at the fridge, and it's like 25 seconds. But podcasting jobs still aren't something you just go out and get, I don't think. There are more and more. I've posted job openings over the last year. I've been talking for years about how all of us are becoming the go-to people. When organizations want to start podcasts, they're going to reach out to those who are already doing it and doing it well. And so, if you're interested in doing kind of production like I do, or Dave does a lot of customer support, that type thing, There are jobs for you. NPR is hiring a whole bunch, and it says podcast right next to it. They're hiring for their podcast. So it's exciting time in 2016. We've gotten a lot, just more attention has come to podcasting. We'll talk a little bit about that. But it's still, like I said, it's not a job that you can easily find. So, it would be hard work to match what I currently have. So I'm very thankful for what I have. If you're watching. Hey, Nick, welcome back to the Roundtable. It's been a long time. I'm a little worried.
He's getting
inviting
close
you
to a
on.
T-shirt.
It's way too close. I don't even want to count it up. What's up?
I
man?
lost track. That's how long it's been.
Oh, good. Well, then you'll never make it.
What's happening?
What's up, man? Happy 2016. We're coming to a close here.
Yeah.
Do you know what we're talking about?
Sort of. Things you're thankful for?
In 2016. It's very specific.
Yeah.
How about you?
For me, many people don't know this. I, for a long time, hosted a Bengals podcast. And
Who day? Oh, wait. I just got kicked out of iTunes for saying that, right?
yeah. Well, the iTunes didn't have a problem. It was the NFL that had the problem, but I digress. And I decided to change directions, and I've stopped following the NFL, and I've as you can see by my background, I have completely gone the other side of football, from the other side of the world, and cover soccer. And so I'm thankful for new opportunities and new relationships I've built with the team that I cover now. I didn't have these relationships when I covered the Bengals, and I've, FC Cincinnati has been very good to me and our podcast this year. So I'm very thankful for that.
How about starting over? What's that like? I mean, now you get to build. It's not like just because it's called football in 2 different languages, it's going to just come over to your podcast, right? I mean, you're rebuilding your entire audience.
It is a brand new entire audience. When you say that, you are dead on. I went from having a large global audience that really dug what we were doing to now I'm back to square one, going from zero to nothing and having to build something from scratch on a sport that is relatively new in the Cincinnati area as well. They have not had a successful soccer team in years past, so it was a first-year franchise. So not only were we growing, they were growing as well. So it's been a challenging year. It brought me back to those first few years of podcasting, and it's been kind of refreshing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna kind of ask. Like, what coming into from a perspective of having a successful podcast to starting over, what's been different, or have you been able to? Is it any advantages, or do you feel is it harder or is it easier?
Well, there are a couple advantages and disadvantages. For one, I obviously have the advantage of knowing how to do this now, whereas back then I was learning on the fly. And so having the skill set and knowledge on how to get the RSS feed set up, how to get the website set up, all that experience made it a lot easier to get launched as far as this new show. There are some disadvantages, and now I'm working with some guys who they are not all too familiar with podcasting and how to build an audience. And so you kind of have to educate and understand that they're not there yet. You know what I mean? So there are some growing pains, some things that I wish I could capitalize on, but I just don't have the time. And I hope that my co-host could kind of pick up the slack, and have done a great job with that this year.
Did you have anybody follow you over from the Bengals podcast to this one?
You mean as far as fans or as co-hosts?
Yeah, fans.
There are probably some here and there. The thing that you notice about the football crowd is they are very much anti-soccer.
Yeah,
there are very few of us that enjoy both sports.
Ironically, anti-football.
Right. So I've had some come over, but really not that many. Where I have noticed, Dave, a lot of people have come over are the fans of the Bengals that live over in the UK. And they want to stay tied and connected to the city of Cincinnati somehow. So they have kind of adopted FC Cincinnati as their, almost like their second soccer team. Because obviously they have their soccer teams over there that they support. But now they kind of have this other team like, oh, okay, we can support another soccer team, FC Cincinnati. So I've had the UK crowd kind of follow me over. But as far as fans in Cincinnati, they those football guys are pretty hardcore. They're pretty anti.
They don't love you. Jave was trying to gently ask, did anyone follow you? Not the show. Does anyone love Nick? Apparently the answer is no.
I think there was one
just
guy.
Kidding. One dude.
One
guy can make all the difference in podcasting.
It took major courage to do that.
Yeah,
that's a tough
one. I know we don't do this for the monetization of it, but I gave up a pretty significant monthly paycheck to drop.
You had a good Patreon going, yeah.
Yeah, Patreon was going well. I was getting paid by SB Nation to do the show, and I just, I wanted something new, and so
you burnt out. Then what happened? Like, why would you?
It was a combination of there are a combination of factors. One, the NFL itself is becoming a poor product. It's not the sport that it used to be, and you even see it now and today with the TV ratings. They're down this year. For me, it was covering a Bengals team that seemed like they weren't going anywhere except for losing in the first round of the playoffs for 5 straight years. I mean, that's it's the same story every year. They're going to win 10 games. They're going to lose in the first round of the playoffs. I mean, it was like a broken record. So for me, it was just like, this is boring, So it was just burnout. And plus I knew with my kids being the age that they are, I coached their soccer teams, and I knew my weekends were shot. There was no way I was going to have a chance to sit down and watch NFL games on a Sunday afternoon. It's just impossible.
Yeah, when you follow something else like a TV show or a sport, that could be tough because you're kind of not always on your own schedule. So,
yeah.
Tyler, do you have any 2016 specific?
Sure. I was thinking about things I've been either using or enjoying in the podcast universe. One has been Cast, which is trycast.com.
I'm glad they finally launched. Like I tried them and they like had the doors open and they shut it really quick. I'm still waiting for someone to get it right, but I mean, you sounds like your experience has been good. So and what is it? Tell us what it is for people who don't know.
Basically, I log in every week that I want to record, and I just send the link to my co-host, and it does local recordings of each of us and uploads them live as we're talking. And then at the end of the show, I can download each of our local copies to do a double ender that are already the exact right length, so I don't have syncing issues. I don't need them to figure out a Dropbox link or whatever. There are some problems with it. Every episode I actually have quite a few little audio hiccups and glitches that show up, but it is so easy that, and the quality is great. I mean, it's still a double ender in the end for so much less work that I couldn't go back. I did cancel it actually. I hadn't recorded an episode for about a month, and I was like, you know what? I'm not using this to the full extent of what the service can do, because they also want you to host there, and they'll distribute your podcast, do your RSS feed. They'll do the whole thing, and I'm not using that. I'm just using it to record. So I canceled my plan. I tried to do one in my traditional method of, Skype and Audio Hijack, which, is a great way to do it. And it was so much more frustrating. I went straight back to it. Even with the small issues I've had, that service is really high value to me. And I've just been glad that so many people are trying it. I know there's probably others that maybe even are doing it better, but I've been happy enough with Cast that I've been sticking with it this year. So yeah, I'm really glad to see people moving that podcast tech is still going forward, and it is becoming still easier to publish and to do things yourself, because in a way sometimes it feels like we're in a mature place. Like podcasts have been around a long time. They don't change as fast as some other tech media products, but it is still moving forward. So
yeah, that's one thing. I think that, where are we at? Are we 11 years, 12 years? What year are we on here?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Making it easier, because in the beginning, the people who really were technically proficient or willing to go through the trouble flooded to the space because it was nerdy and it was something fun to tweak on and learn. But it's gotten easier every year. And doing something like interviews is pretty common, or even a co-host situation like this. We were using Hangouts here, but even that I do a little different here in studio. But, making that easier for someone who doesn't want to dig into the tech is definitely cool. And like I said, I'm kind of waiting for someone to get it perfect. Right now, I think it's all down to Zencaster and Cast. Those are the two, and I like them both a lot. The thing is with those, I just wouldn't rely on them as a primary. I mean, they can be your primary, but make sure you're rolling back up. I mean, a lot of people they lose their recording, but Cast sounds like it's doing it real time, even if it cuts off.
I did lose one. And so, yeah, at the end of the recording, something went wrong. It wasn't there. And I wrote in and they're like, don't worry, just because you're seeing it broken, we always have it in the back end. Hacked into the interface. I don't know what they did, but it was there.
Nice.
And it was fun. They just restored it.
That's huge. That's
huge. Great. But I mean, yeah, I remember like to what you're talking about, first seeing like when Twit first started, seeing their Skype Source thing and thinking that's what you needed. And still, if you Google for like how to podcast, a lot of the results talk about like, okay, you're going to go buy multiple machines and get each one running Skype. And this is how you do it. This is the way. And that just doesn't have to be the way anymore. There's a lot of really great options out there.
Daniel, the chat room's asking you to talk because Corey apparently wants to see your blue, his Cub themed studio. Corey just can't get his head off the Cubs.
I'm Daniel. Well, okay, so this actually leads into one of the things I'm thankful for this year. I've been renting commercial office space now for over a year, and these are flat walls. There's very little furniture that I have, and I like it that way. I mean, it's a desk, chair, table. That's it. Like everything then sits on top of that or connects to it. So acoustics were bad in my office space. A lot of reverb, especially having two microphones since I have a co-host. I would get some bad reverb between the two of us. So whatever problems you have with one mic, you get a lot more with two mics open. And so I decided to finally get serious about giving myself some acoustic treatment in the studio space. So I've started making these acoustic panels, which take 90 minutes each. They're costing, even with my luxury enhancements, about $20 to $25 per
luxury
panel.
Enhancements.
Yeah. So my luxury
can be yours for $250. Email Daniel J. Lewis at.
So I'll have like full instructions on how to make these inside of Podcaster Society, but the luxury enhancements and the things that the reason I think Corey wants to see my background is because behind me are these large black obelisks, and they are my acoustic panels. I have different sizes. I have 2 foot by 4 foot and 1 foot by 4 foot. But then around them, I have LED glowing lights. So I can actually change the colors to the lights to something else.
Whoa.
Red, white, and blue, or I could do just green.
Red and green and go Christmas?
Yeah, I could. And this
the audio only crowd is not happy with it right now.
That's why I'm trying to describe it while I'm talking about
I'll
it.
describe it as it's like a mood wall. So, depending on how you're feeling to each response.
It'd be amazing if it changed as your heartbeat, your pulse changed. There you go.
But this has taken a lot of time to make all of these, a lot more time than I thought. Price not too bad. Just getting on Amazon and finding like the LED light strips, buying all of the door stops from all of my local Walmarts and the Walmarts in the greater Cincinnati area. Seriously, I bought them all out, certain colors, because the door stops, I'm using door stops, which are about 3 inches long, to space the panels away from the wall so that the LEDs on the back of the panels give it a nice soft glow around the panels. So despite the fact that it looks really fancy, it doesn't cost fancy, but the end result is really nice. The acoustics, the look of it, I think it looks great when I'm doing webcam videos, and also I've put panels in my video area. And just the feel of it too, feeling like I've got professional, really cool looking stuff around me now.
Yeah, I mean, I can be on the studio train because 2016 is the year I finally got this space. You're not seeing much of it right now. That reverb thing you're talking about is definitely something I have to work on. I've got the doors open. That helps a lot, by the way. That sound can escape and not bounce around the walls. But, having a wife that really supports my passion and basically gave me the garage. I work from home, so that helps a lot. And I'm in California, so I don't need a garage. I don't need to park inside. Not a problem. Unlike DC, where that was not an option. So must park inside with snow. So I'm definitely grateful for that. I'm very, and every time I put something out, I feel almost guilty. And I'm always hashtagging like thankful, because seriously, like I realize how lucky I am to have this space. So it's very cool. What else, you guys? I mean, What about something a little bit more? Are we thankful for the media attention? Has media attention on podcasting gone up this year? We see a lot of articles. We're always in a golden era, right? In the last couple of years, it seems like we're always hearing, there's more and more big names, if you want to say it that way, coming into podcasting. The media attention. Are we thankful for the extra attention?
I'm thankful for it as a listener. I do, that golden age thing is absolutely true. Like there has never been a better time to listen to. There are more shows than I ever can listen to, and it's not always been like that. And I mean, whether or not it's benefiting me having a show, I don't even care, because I'm enjoying podcasts more than ever and watching less TV than ever.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there was definitely, with more ex-radio people getting into podcasting who had ties in with people in newspaper and websites and things, it seemed like there was definitely an increase in, look at what podcasting can do for your business. And just, every time you turn around, somebody's got a new job at Audible, and then somebody else pulled somebody from WNYC who now is launching this network. A lot of like chess moves with people, I think, in the different industries kind of mingling together, which was kind of interesting.
Nick, have you seen, you're out of one niche or into another. I don't know how crowded, is it crowded? I mean, you have a new team, so it's a startup. Right. So, but football, soccer, whatever you guys call it. What's it like in that niche? Is that still something that's growing, or I would imagine it's pretty big, especially like in the UK?
Soccer podcasting is massive. And the reason for that is soccer media coverage does not happen on traditional media. You don't see it very much on television. You don't see it very much on radio. In fact, at all. You almost never hear it on radio. And so soccer fans go to podcasts to get their soccer content. And so it's a crowded space. There's no question about it. And you're right. You've got the fact that it is a global sport, and it is a very popular global sport. The space is very crowded when it comes to soccer podcasting. So it's a hard niche to get into, but again, the way I cover it, I focus on one team primarily. That certainly helps. But with it being a new team, getting the word out about the show has been difficult. And so you got to get creative and find ways to do that.
That makes me think of something. I mean, Tyler, you're in a photography niche. Dave, Daniel, and I, we're on the podcasting niche, a little smaller. And Nick, you're there in soccer, which could be big, and you're starting new, and you've carved out a space by, you just said it, like the team is brand new, right? It's like an expansion team practically. Yep. And you're covering one team. You're not just like, we are a soccer podcast keeping you up on all the news. Tyler, how do you differentiate or stand out in really probably a huge niche, a photography podcast? That has to be a ton of those.
Oh yeah, there really are. And from the beginning, I narrowed it by being really targeted at professionals.
By titling it whatever.
Yeah, the title is totally unhelpful. The kind of tagline is that it's a podcast for working photographers. And the idea is that there are many of is shows like for beginners and intermediates, just, photography 101. There's a lot of that in how to buy your first SLR. And so intentionally from the beginning, it was like, look, I don't need those podcasts personally, so I want to create what I want to hear. So our potential audience is much smaller, but it's who I want to have the conversation with, is other people that already do this for a living and are working through the same struggles. And that's who I wanted to hear from. So since there were a lot less of those out there, I thought it was important to be a part of that. And, I've already really enjoyed that from video production podcasts. There's a bunch out there of people that are high-end DPs or directors, or people that are doing really amazing work and working with enormous budgets and explaining exactly how they do it. And I appreciate that they are willing to not be as mainstream, because the information can be a lot denser. And yeah, I mean, it's like that with everything too. Like with the shows that you do, Ray, I'm glad that it's not 101 forever. Like sometimes you're willing to go an hour into a really specific topic, because that's what I need after having podcasted for a couple of years. I've gotten past 101, and I want the deep gritty stuff. So
Right.
I love the deep niches for whatever it is you're into.
Yeah, I mean, podcasts serve that so well. Like, is it intimidating at all to go past and sort of represent yourself as the pro or an expert when there are so many great people involved, or do you not see it that way?
I don't see it as, I think I worry about coming off as pretentious, maybe. But I mean, for the people that do it as a job, it's not fancy to think of yourself as a professional photographer, because it's just work. It's just what we do every day. So I just really like having discussions with people in the industry. And there's also a lot more people that have kind of quietly become professional photographers. A big community, sort of a part of On the Side, is the Instagram community. My wife happens to have a pretty big Instagram account, and we do a lot of work through it. And we have met a lot of really big Instagrammers that don't consider themselves photographers, don't think of themselves as professionals, but they're incredible. There's huge talent there, and they're just not worried about the technical details. So the idea of a creative professional sort of getting redefined in a lot of ways right now. And I find that really interesting. And I want to kind of bring those people into my world as well and understand how they work.
Yeah, I think I consider myself a creative professional, or just a creative, or even an artist. As a kid, I always wanted to be an artist, and making a living at that when I was an adult. When I was a kid, I might as well have said,
it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I might as well have said I want to be George Clooney. I mean, that felt like the chances, right? Being a mega superstar on TV or the movies. But now with the internet and content creation, so much media. I mean, YouTube and podcast. There are so many opportunities, and I don't think any of them are easy. I think a lot of people, they see things like Instagrammers who have mega followings, and what you mean, you're making a living doing Instagram? I mean, some people are, and it's a small percentage. People are making a living on YouTube. And I think some people think, it's always the one hit wonder or the overnight success, where, in podcasting, we certainly know it's years and years of building. But I'm very thankful for the platforms that exist today. You mentioned Instagram. I think Instagram has made more people appreciate not only photography, but just look at the world a little differently. I mean, my wife will see the light, the way it hits a tree now. Like, she wouldn't have stopped to have seen that before. And she's become a better photographer than I am. So, I appreciate the platforms that exist that have actually brought more people into what I do, which is, I think, create and
well, and
art.
I think for you personally, it's let you tell some stories that you wouldn't have told otherwise, like the stuff you've been doing about building your studio. I'm not sure if you're going to do a bigger YouTube video about it, but it's a great, like, low impact way to follow you on your journey, because you don't think that hard about whether you're going to post it or not. But like, I've enjoyed being a part of, like, seeing this really detail oriented, like sawing the new walls, and yeah, it's the opportunity is created by the platform, and I think that's great.
Yeah. What else, you guys? Daniel, it's on you, buddy. This is kind of Daniel's topic, and it's we're not putting on him, but we got to put a little pressure on him.
Something as a podcast consumer, I'm really grateful for this year, because I love listening to podcasts. I listen to them all the time. I have an iPhone, and one of the things that I'm sure as soon as I say this, everyone else out there will feel me on this. That is a pair of headphones with a cord getting caught in everything. There are hooks in my house I didn't know existed until I started wearing, earbuds, and my headphones somehow got hooked into them and would rip out of my ears, rip out of the phone. I've already got a pair of headphones that is basically destroyed from that kind of abuse. So earlier this year, I saw a sale on some Bluetooth wireless earbuds, and I really like these. These are Impal Magneto. They have another design, or another pair that's also magnetic. I forget what it's called. It's a little bit newer, but these are Bluetooth 4.1. What I like about these, they do have a cord that attaches one earpiece to another that goes around the back of your neck. But besides that, there's no cord that has to connect to the phone because it's Bluetooth. So the battery powered, they last 6 hours. They have a little controller and microphone on them, like a typical headset would have. But something that's really cool, that when I first saw these, I thought, oh, that's a little bit of a gimmick. That little snap you're hearing is magnets inside of the earpieces. And I thought, okay, it's kind of cool, a little bit of a gimmick. Well, one feature of those magnets is that when I take my earphones out, like my wife wants to talk to me while I'm listening to a podcast, I can pull the earphones out, stop the podcast playback, and they snap together by my neck and keep themselves on my neck, almost like wearing a necklace then. And so they don't just fall off my shoulders or anything like that. But the magnets also serve a nice little purpose, and that is when they connect with each other, the headset will pause whatever is playing.
Oh, cool.
And then when they disconnect from each other, the headset resumes whatever is playing. So I don't even have to press play or pause when I'm taking them out of my ear. I just quickly connect them and it's paused.
What's the brand of
them.
those?
This is Impow. So
Impow. I'm going to require sponsorship,
MPOW.
you guys.
Yeah.
Send your money
Like
to Ray at the podcast.
$25 for these. This particular model is the Impow Magneto. They have a newer model that fits. I think the newer model looks a little bit nicer, and the battery life is a little better. I forget what they're called, but they're also magnetic. They only have a couple magnetic ones, and it's only $20 or $25. The audio quality is, I think it's great. Certainly good enough for listening to podcasts, which is most of what I do. They're comfortable. I can wear them while mowing. They have good sound insulation. I mean, for this, $20 or $25, depending on, there are often sales on these. I send out podcastingdeals.com. And so you can get these for around $20. Wonderful little investment, especially if you have one of those new iPhones and you don't want to use the dongle to adapt it to a 3.5 millimeter audio jack.
The year of the dongle. That was, and so I feel like I should play some transition music out of like our sponsorship ad there, man. That was.
Well, along those same lines as Daniel, for those of you who don't know, I work third shift at a factory, and there's a ton of noise, and I love listening to podcasts when I'm at work too. I mean, it makes the 8 hours fly by. And so I needed a solution that would allow for me to still be able to hear, because not every podcast has that loudness standard, right, guys? So you have some podcasts that were very low, and I'd have it cranked all the way up and could barely hear it because I've got the loud machinery around me. And so one day, Spotify, believe it or not, emailed me out of the blue. It wasn't just me; they emailed a bunch of people.
They just emailed you, Nick.
Right.
It's just you.
With a deal on these Bluetooth over-the-ear headphones. They're from Urban Ears. They were $50. What I really like about them is I can control the playback by just touching this piece here. I could skip forward or skip, or rewind without having to pull my phone out, which I'm not allowed to have out on the floor anyway. I do that illegally.
I don't know how you send me 50 text messages at 2 a.m. then.
That's when I'm on break. Right?
Nick's blowing me up.
Yep.
Trying to sleep, Nick.
2 a.m. for me or for you? Because that would be different. Yeah.
Whatever. It's late. Stop calling me.
But no, I mean, these are pretty affordable Bluetooth wireless headphones. They have a port, headphone jack. If like the battery dies on you at work and you want to still listen to something, all you've got to do is plug in a 3.5 millimeter jack into your phone into the headphones, and it works just fine there too. So, really nice. And like Daniel said, I use them to cut the grass, do chores around the house, tune my wife out, that sort of thing. So,
nice.
So,
well,
yeah,
hey, look at that. Spotify finally makes a contribution to podcasting. Congrats, Spotify.
What was the brand of that?
Urban Ears.
Man, this is just where are the affiliate links? This is just turning into a
That's
put in the
show. I
chat room.
don't have any gear. I don't think 2016, ironically, you'd think it'd be the year of gear. It might be that A6500 is coming out, but I don't think that there's Tyler, you've gone not Sony. I saw that, but
No. I'm both. I'm living in both worlds right now.
How nice.
Sony for video and Canon for stills. So
gotcha. Okay, well that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd look around the studio. I'm happy for the space. I'm thankful for the gear. It still works. It's funny because there's a lot of nice gear here, but as I point to it, I could be like 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old. I mean, like everything is old, and I'm glad they still make stuff that works like more than 2 years, because tech seems to have become almost disposable, right? It's like, well, I'm not going to fix that and just throw it away and get the new model, or there is a new model and you're always upgrading. So, it's nice.
I hear the next mixers will be dropping the XLR jack.
Yes, there will be
Perhaps get a dongle
no
for that.
actual inputs to the mixers, the Apple branded mixers. But
Speaking of disposable tech, I was thankful for Blab.
Yeah.
While it was around in 2016.
did it only exist in 2016? It actually probably came out a lot
Did it come
sooner
out in
than-
2000?
It was in 2015.
Yeah,
Came
it
out.
wasn't- at
Okay.
least-
All right.
Things are always around a lot longer than you think. Like that movie came out last year. No, it's actually 10 years ago, but whatever. Movie time is just exponentially faster. But yeah, I mean, Blab was cool. And, I guess it was the alternative to Google Hangouts, right? What we do here. Thank you, Google, for not killing Hangouts.
I was going to say,
Hangouts on Air. They moved it into YouTube. We have moved. Nothing wrong with that. Well, I have a couple of issues with that, but we'll try to be thankful and not regretful.
Yeah, I've got an email out to YouTube right now for some Hangout issues I've been experiencing lately.
Hangout or Hangout on Air?
Hangout on Air. I can't get my audio and video to sync when I host.
I think that's a common long time problem. I've seen sync issues. Yeah. I don't know.
I'm seeing him right now.
Yeah,
Are you?
me too.
You sure?
Nick, you should have stayed quiet.
No, I knew. And when I saw the email from Ray about joining, I was like, do I really want to do this? Because I know it's not going to be good.
Wait. You know it's not going to be good. Let's see. They do have a hang up option. Hangouts, you can hang out. We can just.
I think it's
Happy
going
Thanksgiving, everybody. It was great seeing you.
I'm just grateful for the show right now. That's all. Can I steal one out of the chat room? Just a minute or two ago, Emily
highly encouraged.
Pointed out Overcast, which is something I wrote on it. She was talking about their volume adjustment, but I mean, it's not new. But every year, I'm so grateful for Overcast. I don't even understand how so much of the podcast world lives without it, because it makes it so much better for me. Not having smart speed, like when I have to listen to even YouTube videos and there's no smart speed, it drives me crazy. Or when I turn up playback speeds in Audible and it sounds terrible, it's so frustrating that nobody takes their audio algorithms as seriously as Overcast does.
Okay, pull out your phone. Find out how many hours have you saved.
117 hours have been saved.
This is speeding it up or just closing the gaps? Because I tell you, I'm a purist. I'm a listen at one times.
104 hours saved on mine.
176.
Nice.
Oh man!
Wow.
It's 176 dramatic
closing
pauses.
the gaps.
You've missed.
That's not. I just listened to really slow speakers. Maybe
That's it.
Yeah.
I do think about that when I'm producing a pod or when I'm editing a show and I have hosts that do take dramatic pauses. And I think about someone listening in an app that is tightening it up. So sometimes I will just tighten it up because I'm like, well, that's just going to be tightened up anyways, and I'll do it under my own terms. So I do think about that.
Yeah, there are shows. If I know that the editor has probably timed it to be perfect, like really well produced NPR show like Radiolab, and like a new favorite show that I'm really grateful for is Imaginary Worlds, from former NPR host. And these really tightly produced things where the timing has emotional impact.
They must hate it.
Well, I turn it off for those, and I'm sure they do hate it. But those are the ones I turn it off for because you get something extra out of it.
It's interesting you say that. I mean, like there's an implied level of quality. I don't know if I'd call it quality, but there's part of the production value is to deliver the dramatic pause.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely, dude. Whereas I think sometimes, especially in a format like this, the pause can just be a result of technology. You don't want to interrupt each other, or somebody has a brain fart and has nothing to say for a moment. Like it's not always intentional, and those are the ones that I like to skip.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna leave some dead air so that someone else just comes up with something as opposed to me, because I'll just be like.
Well, it seems to be an algorithm, or not necessarily algorithm, but a ratio sort of thing. So it's not like find any second. It's not doing truncate silence effectively. It's not finding any silence longer than an amount. What is doing truncate silence? That aside, it's not finding it and shortening it to a specific amount. It seems to be shortening it by ratio. So if you have a dramatic 10-second silence, it may shorten it down to 2 seconds.
I think it's a percentage thing. It feels that way to me. So because you can still hear the rhythm of the speech,
right,
and the rhythm of pauses, but they just it seems to be a percentage to me.
Yeah.
Awesome. Any more in the chat? Let's see. People are
Facebook Live.
Yeah.
Several people saying they're grateful for
Are-
Facebook Live.
Are we grateful for yet another live platform? Or are we grateful for the growing of live media? We're doing live right now. I mean, we obviously enjoy it. But which one? Which one are we more grateful for? Are we happy to see? I mean, live streaming's that's kind of. I feel like actually the second half of 2016 is becoming live streaming. We heard. You may have heard Instagram is looking at doing some type of live stream option. Everyone has a live stream option now.
I think that what's different about Facebook is here is an extremely established social network bringing live streaming to the social network. Everyone else has either created their own social network around live streaming, or they bring live streaming to a site like YouTube that's not really a social network, and it doesn't really feature live, whereas Facebook is, at least currently, still somewhat featuring live. And so you're instantly getting to be able to have that live streaming video connection with everyone you're already connected to on Facebook.
Yeah, I was trying some streaming last night, and I had a lot more instant people watching. It was the first time I'd done Facebook Live, but I tried it before with, all the services that do it, including YouTube. And right away, there was definitely more engagement. It was people that know me better. But to me, the live thing still needs some time to evolve. Like it's still somewhat just there for technology's sake, and most people streaming live aren't doing it for an interesting reason necessarily. I wasn't when I was doing it. So I think it'll take a little time to find its purpose and find its strengths. But
Well, that's it with live or Facebook Live. Is it something people are tuning into? Are you getting more of an audience because this is new? Let's see what Tyler's doing. I've never seen him do this before, so they check in. But if you were there every week, would they still tune in? I think social streaming, if that's what we call it, that's what I'm going to call it right now. I think it does work really well. Anything I've done on Periscope or Facebook Live, because it catches people in the moment and they can just tune it in. And I think these platforms have done a really good job of letting you consume it in line. So it is sort of a check-in, check-out type thing. But, even on Twitter, like the homepage, or it'll just sort of organically play in my app. And it's amazing because you almost can't watch some of the stuff that comes through, and you're really sucked into it. Whereas, something like this, I send out an email. I say, this is happening in an hour. Google Hangouts, I think, has made it, I'm on YouTube, but it doesn't pull in. And I've got a nice subscriber base on YouTube. But, then we go back to algorithms, right? Facebook doesn't show you everything. YouTube's not everyone's going to see it. So I think the social having live streaming coming to social, to me, has been, I think, good for live streaming. But, where would you guys, what do you think needs to happen, Tyler, if it's just...
I think another part of this is almost live streaming, which is, nobody calls it that, but things like Instagram stories and Snapchat, which are near real time. You're seeing it within 24 hours, but it's heavily edited. So you're not watching all the mundane dead stuff in between. So people that aren't natural storytellers, that haven't thought about doing this and aren't putting a lot of thought into how they're going to tell their story, at least do us the favor of just making it more concise and just bringing it to the moments that were most interesting to them in the day. And I think that's a more widely usable thing. I think more people will be able to thrive using that than real-time live.
I've really enjoyed the rise of the vlogger, I guess you could say, in 2016. I watched several vloggers like a TV show almost. And I'm wondering, that's YouTube. It tends to be YouTube. It's not necessarily podcast. I mean, you're probably less likely to find a vlog on iTunes than you are going to find on YouTube. It just has to do with the platform, I think. But could a podcaster implement that? Is it, you know what I mean? Like Anchor, the app, sort of like that. These apps, Snapchat, Instagram stories, they feel like vlogging made easy. Turn it on, capture a piece of your day, go on and put together several pieces, and you sort of have a story of your day. And it's gone in 24 hours on all these platforms. I'm wondering if we could, if that could translate to podcasting at all.
Well, the one person doing the reverse is Mike Hurley from Relay FM, which is a pretty big podcast network. He's just started doing personal vlogs. So that's the first time I've seen like a mainstream podcaster moving to doing his own. So that's been interesting to see.
What about a vlog in the podcast format? So I guess I'm speaking about audio deliver. You know what I mean? Do we
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that would work? I mean,
Sure.
it makes me almost want to try it because I'm like,
Yeah, tell us how it works.
People have been doing that since the beginning.
I mean, really? What is
Well, when you're
Example.
saying vlog in podcast format, well, vlog
Is it a plug?
video blog, and blog is web blog. So video web blog. That's what vlog would stand for. So what is it that you're saying is the vlog format
Your
that's
day.
not already in podcast?
follow your day? Give me your day. Give me the story of your day every day, once
You
a
mean-
week.
So it's just
Story
about
every week.
it's about nothing.
Vlogs
It's
are
about what you're eating and
yes, vlogs are essentially about nothing. I follow one guy, Craig Adams on YouTube. I love this guy. He's a young kid living in New York. He's professional videographer. He shoots weddings. He does a lot of tutorial A7S. He shoots. I love to watch his vlog because of how he produces the vlog. It's all tied into the gear that I love. But he's going to show you, he might take you along on a shoot that day. So I'm following someone's day, and a lot of times it's mundane, and I can't even tell you half the time why it's interesting. And I think visually, or visuals play a lot into that, having something to watch. Vlogs are very visual because they are video, but I mean, you're sort of taking a ride alongside that person for the day. And I'm thinking, could this work in audio? An Anchor kind of feels like you could. I almost tried it on Anchor, but I just couldn't make it. It didn't translate with me personally.
I'm sure that that might be an idea of something in the future where it's like an app. Maybe you could even do this with Boss Jock, but you're able to press record whenever you want, and it's just building. It's adding to the episode.
I mean,
and maybe there's a little bleep or something between each segment. So then at the end of the day, you press upload, and then it uploads that whole MP3, and there's your day's journal.
Yeah, it's just
sure
Snapchat or
someone makes
Instagram
that.
stories in audio form. I mean, you could do it with Anchor. You could completely do it with Anchor, I think.
It's kind of like what heavily produced NPR shows can follow that format sometimes. Like Startup, I only listened to Startup at the beginning,
Right.
but he's basically just going around with a microphone and recording his journey of starting a podcast, and then spending a lot of time refining that story and editing it later.
Yes.
And
that's something I would consider that, except that because it's so hyper produced, and that is months. I mean, one episode could be months in the taking. And I'm thinking, anyways, it's just interesting. It's just, I'm really enjoying the format. It's something I'm seeing. You see a ton of it, at least now. It's obviously been building for years, but people have these amazing channels that have millions or hundreds of thousands of followers who watch their stuff every day. I mean, if you know Casey Neistat, just a quintessential vlogger. Hey, everyone knows Casey Neistat. I mean, like,
I just discovered is maybe
entertainment.
not the right term, but yeah, I found him in July, and you're right, Ray. I got hooked. I don't know why. I watched all his videos.
Because you're waiting for him to get smashed by a car in the streets of New York on his board. Nice.
But that's so much of it too, is that you really need to have the personality to have a successful vlog, because I've also watched vlogs from people that really don't do much, or watching Snapchats from people that barely leave their house. They kind of, go to work, then go home and watch Netflix and capture all of that. That's never going to be popular. Like friends and family would love to see it, but
it's not. But there is an entertainment form that I think that's escapist. People just like to see, or voyeuristic, or just want to see what else someone else is doing, or I don't know. I mean, I think that even some mundane stuff can be interesting to, we're talking about niche, right? I mean, if you follow someone who has a certain profession, it could be really dry. We used the plumber. We leaned on the plumber heavy in the last round, but that plumber vlog, I'm telling you, man, for plumbers.
Well, have you been finding? I mean, I feel like you've done quite a bit in your Instagram stories, right? Which is kind of vlogging a little bit. Like, have you thought about turning that into a YouTube thing, or? So I did a vlog with a GoPro, and just to try vlogging. That like golf one
is so much work. Like, and that's part of my fascination in vloggers. I'm fascinated by how they are getting this much content out. It is so hard to produce and do it well, and to do it that regularly. A lot of these people are doing it once a day or twice a week or 3 times a week. It's so hard. And so, no, I could never do that. So for me, Instagram stories, Snapchat, those are vlogs for people who can't just sit down and who aren't 20 and have like their whole night to edit like videos. So for me, that's why I love those platforms. They make that really easy because I do want to tell you a story during the day. If there's something to show you, right? I mean, today I'm splitting the audio right here in this round from the DBX, and one's going to Focusrite and the other's going out to a Tascam, and I got my dual channel back that I used to get from the ATR 2100 because the setup has changed. And so I'm going to tell you that story about how that happened. But, you know, that's as far as I needed to go. I need to move on with my day. So, you know, for me, part of that, it's fascination. But I am real curious about the translation to podcast. And I don't know. I'm tossing it out there. Go ahead. When you're near first, you might be able to generate quite an audience. So
now Clamor maybe was thinking a little bit of doing that.
They were thinking because that's telling someone else's story.
You can record your own clamors. And so there are whatever the limit is now. I can't keep up with it. Was it 30 seconds, 25 seconds, 27 and a half?
I think. Yeah.
24 seconds
26,
that you can record. And then that can go into your stream. And that, I think, to me, I think that's the closest to this audio short storytelling thing. Well, there's Anchor too. So
I tried this actually. And speaking of startup, Alex Bloomberg taught a weekend class in San Francisco a couple of years ago about podcasting, but it was really just about storytelling. And I went to it, and I carried Boss Jock on my phone with a little, I don't know what I used, something like a lav mic or something. And I recorded my whole day, like the whole experience. I have him. I talked to him on the lav. I never published it. Like just putting together that whole thing of the day. I wanted to put music. I've tried it. I wanted to do it, but I personally can't ship that much content on a daily basis or even a weekly basis, having other podcasts. So
can I also ask you something you'd be into listening to? Like, have you been listening to a lot of Anchor?
No.
Shows? Because there's one half of like, is it fun to make it? But then is there going to be an audience for it as well, right? And I guess that would have to be seen after doing it for a while.
Yeah, I think the people that started to use Anchor, it was all push. You know, here's what I'm doing. I don't know a lot of people over there listening to it though.
Yeah, and well, there is the great engagement. Maybe did Anchor come out this year? I think it did.
Yeah,
it seems fairly new.
That could be one of those things that's one of our new podcasting thanks that we've kind of forgotten about. It's the shiny new toy that we put in the toy closet.
It was. It kind of came out. We're like, oh, cool. What's this do? And then we played with it and we went, oh, yeah, okay. And then Hello came out, or Hilo, or however you say it. And you're like, oh, look, it's Anchor, which is kind of like Clamor, which is kind of like, okay, never mind. Where were we? You know, and it just kind of, it's like you say, it is like you see it, it's new, it's shiny, and then you go, yeah, okay, whatever. And then you put it on the shelf.
Yeah, with Anchor, I've tried several times to get back. I really do like it. I like it a lot. Yet somehow I can't incorporate it into my daily life.
Do you find you get much engagement with it though? Like much response from people listening?
I feel like I've gotten enough. I mean, like if I ask a question, at least one or two people will respond with an Anchor. You know, ask a question, get an answer. I mean, and that's fine. I mean, and you know, any of these things, again, podcasting, YouTube, you have to do it a lot and for a long time. And I think, you know, even just getting one or two responses, because we know feedback's hard to get, even getting that when you don't use it that much, I think is a sign that, you know, if you were there and interacted with the community and you got the followers, because, you know, Anchor's really, it's, again, part of that sort of social streaming thing where it tweets it out. And people, if they're connected to you via Twitter, they really can see your anchors too. So I think there's opportunity there. I've tried and haven't been able to implement it. But I am thankful for Anchor. Thank you.
Well, you were talking about the YouTube stars. I did not see the movie, but I understand the latest Tyler Perry movie, Boo something, is filled with YouTube stars, which is a brilliant marketing strategy for a movie with a low budget. Just get guys with a huge social following to be in the movie.
Well, they did that for one season of the Amazing Race as well.
Yeah.
They got all of these YouTube stars who then YouTubed their race and had this huge social following, and it brought back a whole bunch of renewed interest to the show.
Yeah, I mean, so can we bring any of that back to our own show? I mean, that is really, we always talk about the classic, like interview somebody, right? I mean, get an influencer, right? But I mean, there's something to it.
Yeah.
New techniques? Are we thankful for what have you learned in 2016 that you can take back to your podcast in 2017 and get new listeners? I don't think that that's new, but maybe, on YouTube, I'll let you guys think about this. On YouTube, across, what am I thinking? What's it called? A collab. Collaborations. Those are big. They tell you to build your channel all the time. Do collaborations. Well, I think podcasting's been doing collaborations for a long time. I mean, in theory, this is a collab between Daniel, Dave, and I, and really everyone else that is in the community. So not something unique, maybe something you haven't tried, maybe something that we're not using enough. My other show, I don't think that I've gone out and looked for experts on a topic more than I've looked for a name. What about you? I mean,
I think that also not just with individuals, but like from things you've been doing, your YouTube channel's been doing great. And has that been connecting back to the podcasting, like kind of having two different formats of somewhat related content that hopefully create this sort of synergy between things? I just finally put out my first YouTube video in quite a while this week.
I saw that. I was surprised and I liked it. It looked
good. Yeah. Well, it was so it was the first one I've done in a long time. I've been focused on the podcast, putting all this work into it, and in 1 week, the first video I've put out in years had more views than any of the podcasts I put out. Nice. By 10 times the listenership. So that was really frustrating for me because it's the YouTube audience. Like there's just that momentum of the community that's there. That's so much harder to build in podcasting. It's frustrating because I enjoy podcasts more.
It's very different though, because it's like drive-by viewing, right?
Yeah.
Because people are finding you a lot more because they're looking up. You did like a camera comparison.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like,
or like you watch, it's the relevance engine as well. You watch a video about an A7S and then YouTube recommends other videos to you about the A7S and you think, oh, I want to check that out.
YouTube does an amazing job at that.
Yeah.
I would love to see that for podcasts.
I feel like what I've been thinking and hoping for it is that some of those drive-by people will end up listening to the show, which is what I actually care about. And I mean, it seems like you have a bit of that same circle of content.
They will. I mean, my channel is primarily runs off a search, and it is do a review of this thing and find those people and then sort of recreate the audience over again. And the subscriber base for YouTube, I feel, is much different unless you are a vlogger. If you're telling a daily story, people come back and watch you like episodic content. But if you're doing reviews or something, people are finding you from the search of that one thing. Whereas, so you could have 25,000 people watch your Canon DSLR review, and you could have 2,000 people listen to this show. But the 2,000 people who listen to this show, I can almost count on it every time I release an episode, that those 2,000 people, they're going to come back. You can't count it on YouTube. Your next video, you could have 300 views, right? So it's a much, much different. So I'm finding some cross-pollination. Maybe I have to bring you back for the next round because that actually is what I want to talk about. The Roundtable here. Very thankful for the Roundtable and for all of like Dave and Daniel, your help throughout this year and the previous years, and then all the new people we meet on this show is so cool. And it exists on my YouTube channel, but that's primarily like a video production, audio sort of channel. And so I mix them. And I am surprised by the people who find this show and who do cross-pollinate. They're like, oh, I was watching Can Review, saw the Roundtable, now I subscribe. And there's a question there, is it doing more harm than good to mix the brands? But we're definitely going to cover that. But, I'm definitely thankful for both, but I think both audiences are very different.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Anything else?
One of the others that it's not new to 2016. It was released in late 2015, but it had significant improvement and became much more useful in 2016 with version 2.0, and that is the mobile app and now mobile web desktop web service, Adobe Spark Post. This is a fantastic tool that's free, completely free to use, that enables you to make great looking images, like for quotations, for episode images. It has the free image libraries that you can pull in, Creative Commons images or free stock photography stuff you can pull in. It does really nice things with typography. It's easier to use than Canva, and yet it looks much nicer. The results look much nicer than Canva. You can get some really cool stuff. Previously, there's been this app called WordSwag that probably many people still use. I think this is even better. You can do cool things like copy your image and then make a wide version, or then make a square version for Instagram, then make a tall version for Pinterest, and export those images out. It's Adobe Spark Post, completely free.
Hey, congrats to Emily. She says there's baby number 2 on the way. She says she's thankful for the roundtable and talking about how kids don't kill podcasts. She says with the second baby on the way, she now has to put her money where her mouth is. Same with Daniel. So 2017 will be a new year to have things to thankful for. Other new podcasters. There are going to be some real new roundtablers in 2017. We're looking forward to meeting.
Yep, Noodle Baby might make it on an episode at some
Noodle
point.
Baby. Be wearing. You got to just wear the kid.
It's like Joe Pardo.
Podcast.
Joe Pardo just has he just wears a baby now every time I see him.
Yeah, he's always carrying the baby.
Nice. Jim Collison, thankful for you, buddy. Thanks for checking in. Just thankful. We can just keep going down the line here. Corey, still here. Awesome.
Here's a little thing that was something that annoyed me for a while in my workflow of anything live. So I have the Logitech C920 web camera, great web camera.
I think everybody on this round might have that camera right now.
Yeah.
Raise your hand.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Yep.
I saw a little pulse action on Tyler, so I knew he had it. I'll tell you to
So
fix that.
what I love to do is place that camera really close to what I'm looking at, whether that be my notes or the Skype call or something, so it looks like I'm looking directly into the camera. That's very difficult to do when the camera, it's just very difficult to do. I was doing things like I had a little miniature tripod that I would set on top of a speaker and put that in front of my 24-inch monitor and position it that way, but I'd knock it over. I'd have to move my monitor back, and then I couldn't see things as well. So this year I got this idea that I thought, oh, brilliant idea. And that is I bought the absolute cheapest mic arm I could find on Amazon. I think $10 for this thing, the scissor arm. The thing is pretty cheap. There are some bad design flaws in it. But then I have a little adapter, a simple screw adapter that can adapt a mic stand, big screw, to a tripod little screw. And I put my web camera on that. So the result is I can now, for one thing, very smoothly position my web camera everywhere as I'm demonstrating to the live audience.
He has a boom for his web cameras. What are you trying to tell you? Is it or jib? Would that be a jib, Tyler?
And I can also position the camera then wherever I want to, and I don't need to worry about what's underneath it or the tripod and getting it perfectly aligned and level and all of that. It just stays level, and I can move it to where I want it. And $10 for that.
I wish we had a second camera to show us this, to demonstrate.
Yeah. It is
You need a
tricky.
switcher.
Mine is, switcher. Mine is right up here, and I tried to remember to look up. And this is related to vloggers. They have the screen flipped, and it's like, look at the lens, not at the screen. But I oftentimes have to see what's going on here. So, yeah. So, Daniel, he's showing us now. So, if you're watching, so see, multi-camera here. Daniel's just showing the little, little, oh,
so
there we go.
Whoa.
I put the camera then directly in front of the monitor, and then I position whatever window I want to look at while I'm talking. I position that
so cool.
just right above the camera, so that I'm looking almost directly into the camera. And then it's just a standard mic arm.
I tried to camera bomb you there. Yeah, you know what? Every round we try to give you a reason to go back and check out the video if you're so inclined. But yeah, check it out. Daniel's got a little boom arm, and that's cool. I mean, and there's something important there. I mean, it is nice to connect with the people who are online by actually looking into camera. It's harder to do when you're producing a show, but that can definitely help. And otherwise, it just sort of sits right in the middle of your screen. But we are thankful for 2016 hacks, like boom arms, jibs. They're $10.
Yeah, that was a cool one.
All right, you guys. I'm not going to... Everyone will stop being thankful of me if we don't stop this episode. We could just talk about anything. I'm thankful for the format. Like, Roundtable is really meant to start at one subject and then just go wherever we want. We're just hanging out. all friends. So we'll wrap it up. Let us know where we can find your show. Any closing thoughts if you want. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us again. Nick, I don't know, but maybe the t-shirt's in the mail.
All right, cool. I appreciate it. Thanks for the invite. Last notice. I had to quickly throw the hat on just so I didn't look like, although I already look like a fool on camera, but not, maybe a little less of a fool. Thank you for having me on. You can catch me at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com if you're a big soccer fan in the United States and want to know about the hottest soccer team in the country, FC Cincinnati.
No bias there. You do need a new t-shirt to replace that old logo you got going on the shirt you
Yeah,
have right now.
I know.
Inside the Jungle. R.I.P.
Yeah.
Tyler, thank you so much for joining us for your first roundtable.
Yeah, I'm so thankful to be here. I appreciate the invite.
Way to tie that into the theme. That was beautiful.
Yep.
Right.
I've been thinking about that the whole episode.
A pro. All right. And your podcast, where can we find that?
Cameras or whatever.com.
All right. Well, he's got the domain, so you can't fault him. I mean, it's hard to get a domain these days. Name your show if you can.
Yeah, that's what drives the naming.
That's how you get your name. Dave will tell you. Dave Jackson, once again, co-hosting duties. Well done. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to be here. Like I said, I'm glad to be back, and you can find me at schoolofpodcasting.com.
Awesome. And last but not least, thank you, Daniel J. Lewis.
I am thankful to be here too. Thankful to all of my members of Podcaster Society. Thankful to my listeners for the podcast. Thankful that we started Podcasters Roundtable years ago. And this is one of the things I really look forward to every couple of weeks. And not that I don't look forward to it every week, but I mean, it happens every couple of weeks. That's why I look forward to it every couple of weeks. And the conversations are great with some of my best friends in podcasting. So thankful for my fellow co-hosts.
Very
I'm Daniel
cool.
J. Lewis from theaudacitypodcast.com.
Perfect. All right. Round 83. We'll see you next time fortnightly. Daniel's right. We're here every 2 weeks. Thankful for the alternative schedule. People just want me to stop saying I'm thankful. All right, you guys. Wave. We're out of here. Thank you.